Time for our weekly live Q&A here at Pupford. I am Tracy Matson. I'm a certified professional dog trainer and certified behavior consultant. And I am excited to be here. If this is your first time, please put your name and where you're from so I can enter you into the drawing that we'll do probably about 6:30 or whenever people are done asking questions. So on my end, it just says Facebook user. So if you can just put your name and state or country, that would be awesome. And then I can enter you. And we will talk all things dogs, whatever you guys have questions on. Little bit of a disclaimer. I have two dogs board and training with me right now. And right now they're being quiet. So hopefully it stays quiet. If you hear barking in the background, I may have to go let them out, but right now they're being really good. So let me think. What can we talk about? Sorry, I'm chewing a piece of gum right now. So I met with two different people this week, and once we talked about training and what they needed to do, they both realized, maybe I need to turn the chat on. That would help. They realized that it was more about them reinforcing good behavior and actually putting in the work. It wasn't necessarily the dog that needed to be fixed as much as it needed to be the owners following through on the training plan and reinforcing the good behavior, which a lot of it is definitely the case. The dog was doing everything right. It's just that the behavior wasn't being reinforced enough. So I had one lady today who does not, so her dog went to a board and train type scenario where they use aversives and they don't use treats at all. So she didn't want to train with treats, but it's like, well, then what do you use for your dog's paycheck? Like, we wouldn't work for free. Most of us wouldn't. So what are you using to reward the dog? And she says, well, just praise and love. And I said, well, that works great if praise and love is reinforcing enough for the dog. So one of the things she's having issues with is the dog trying to run towards other dogs or coming when called. Well, if you think about it, if her dog sees a deer and wants to go chase the deer, and she knows that if I go back to mom, I'm just going to get pet and praised, is that enough of a reinforcement for this dog to not chase the deer? Or is it going to be more rewarding to chase the deer? It depends on the dog, honestly. So basically what I told her is, yeah, that's great if that's reinforcing enough. If it's not, then you'll have to, pick something else. So we also did some leash walking, and I wanted her to reward the dog every time he checked in and gave her eye contact. He was very distracted by other things that were going on in the environment. And since she didn't want to use treats, like checking in with her wasn't reinforcing enough. Stuck at work, but we'll try to join later. Okay, perfect. So checking in with her wasn't reinforcing enough. Then looking at all of the things in a new environment and being distracted by them. So that's kind of, when you think about some people just don't want to use treats forever, and that's fine. I mean, hi. Tell me who you are. It just says Facebook user. So I will probably always use treats because to me, it's my dog's paycheck. I like rewarding them for good behavior. I may not use as many as I did when we started. So when we're just doing maintenance and just keeping up on the skills, I probably won't use as high a rate of reinforcement as I would in the beginning. But I'm still going to reward my dogs for good behavior. So like when I have Jade out, yes, you heard your name. When we're in public and she's doing really well, I'm going to reward her for that. If they're like right now, they're both being calm and laying on a mat, I might reward them for that. Just so they know that that behavior is what I like and that's what's going to get them rewarded. So, and then you can kind of fade out the treats or not use them as often if you want. It was interesting. This dog today, in some circumstances, would take treats and others wouldn't. So not hugely treat motivated, but very ball motivated. So we could actually use the ball as the reinforcer. So it's like when you walk nice on leash, then I'm going to throw the ball for you. Or if you check in with me and focus, I'm going to toss the ball up and let you catch it in your mouth and carry it in your mouth. So different things like that. So hopefully that will help. When people say my dog is really stubborn, doesn't want to work, doesn't want to do this, in my mind, it is if a dog seems stubborn, I'm putting that in quotes, it's usually either that the dog doesn't understand what we're asking or it's not reinforcing enough. So if the dog is not coming when called, it's because it's not more reinforcing than chasing a deer or rolling in a dead animal or something like that. So we want to make sure that it's reinforcing enough. And also, dogs don't do a great job of generalizing. So just because you do something at home and your dog does it great doesn't mean they're going to do it outside or at the park or something like that. So I will use a higher value treat. That's usually what I save the Pupford salmon treats for, just because they're smellier and the dogs love them. So when we're in a new environment that's really distracting or something like that, then I'll pull out the salmon treats and reward for paying attention in this new, harder, distracting environment. So hopefully that will give you guys some tips when you're working with your dogs. And hopefully we get some more people on here. Whoever just got on that said, hi, Tracy, let me know who you are, where you're from, because it just comes up Facebook user. And then I will enter you into the drawing, which we may be having sooner rather than later if we don't have anybody show up. I did 5:30 this week because last week we got a lot of people and a lot of new people, which I'm really excited about. So I thought maybe this would be a really good time. So I'll talk a little bit about environmental management, just because I'm dealing with that right now. Oh, have you guys ordered your Pupford water bottles? This is the best. It doesn't come with all the stickers. I did that myself. It comes with this part though, the Pupford. And they have different colors. I think black, blue, red. Anyway, so if you have a dog that's reactive, like likes to bark at the window or the door or, different scenarios, a lot of times we can manage our environment to keep you have a blue one. Awesome. You can manage your environment to keep them calmer or keep them from reacting. So right now, I can tell that my neighbor is mowing his lawn because I can hear the lawnmower. Plus, he also mows mine when he does his. So, because I know that my dog is going to bark, at him while he's mowing his lawn, I have them in the house with the dog door closed. So they can't practice that behavior of running out and barking at the fence. So just managing my environment. Plus, right now, since I'm doing a live, I can't really keep running out and telling them quiet. So I just bring them in, make it so they can't look outside or can't go outside. And right now, they're both laying calmly on their mat. Actually, Maddie's looking at me like, you got something for me? Hi, Jade. They're actually really dirty right now. They've been out playing in the pool. They like to play in the pool and then go roll in the dirt. And then they run in the house and run through the house and get the doors or the floors filthy dirty. Yeah, you guys. Okay, well, those of you that are on, do you have any questions? Because I don't know what else to talk about. Or give me a topic. Give me a topic that you want to know more about, and we'll talk about it. Or anything that you want demoed. I have 2 dogs laying here right now that are looking at me like they really want treats. So I can ask them to do something. All right, you guys are going to make me think of a topic, huh? I don't know anything else to talk about. I usually try and pick something that goes with like what kind of stuff I've done this week. Let's see. Let me look and see what else, if I've had anything interesting this week. Let me get to my calendar. I'll see if there's been anything else that's next week. Okay, we can talk about consistency. So I worked with a client this week whose dogs love to bark when anybody comes to the door. If somebody leaves to go out the door, they bark like crazy. So we established this pattern of they bark once, the owner then interrupts and said, that's enough, and then go to your place. And so when they get interrupted with enough, that means a treat's coming. So we conditioned that to be like the clicker. So when they hear the word enough, it's like, oh, I heard that. I stop barking, I get a reward. Then we teach them what we want them to do instead. So then we do place. So the dogs go to their place and we toss treats either on the bed or in the crate, keeps the dogs in there, then comes and answers the door. So we did this over and over and over again just to create this repetition. And pretty soon the dogs were like not barking at the door and would hear the doorbell or the knock at the door and would automatically start to run to their place where they get like the jackpot of treats. So when you have consistency and you teach the dog these new patterns, like this is the pattern that I want you to go through when you hear a knock at the door or the doorbell or the UPS guy coming and leaving something. So it really does work. Everybody just has to be consistent. And one thing that she realized is that not everybody in her household is consistent. Like some people just let the dog jump on them or some let them bark and stuff like that. So everybody has to be consistent in order to establish these new patterns for the dog. Okay, I'm in the process of packing for dog vacation. Anything specific? So are you going on vacation and your dog's going with you, or is your dog going to like a boarding facility? So usually what I take is Okay, let's say I'm going on vacation and I'm taking the dog. I have like a little bag that has bowls already in it. So all I have to do is pack food. So I make sure I have food, water bowl, food bowl. I also take like a little packable crate. So it's one of those that folds up. So if you're staying like in a hotel and you need to leave your dog there during the day, which most hotels don't want you to do that, but if you have, um, then, oh, this is Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, you might win tonight. You're the only one here. Um, so you're going to Colorado Springs. Cool. Um, so yeah, food, bowls, a crate if you think you're going to need it. If the dogs are going to be with you the whole time, then you probably don't need that. Brian, hello, Brian. So Brian, you're the one doing the recall challenge, right? The recall mastery. They did send me a link to that, but I have not had a chance to look at it yet. But they did send it to me, so I can look and see what it's all about. Hi, Jenny. Jenny, you were our winner last week. I remember. I'm glad you guys are hopping on because I was running out of things to talk about. Indiana. Hey, Jenny, what? So, Brian, wasn't it you doing the? Oh, maybe it was Matthew. The recall mastery. It was either you or Matthew, so it might have been Matthew if you're saying what. There's a recall mastery that they have out, and someone was having a hard time getting past a certain level. So I asked them if they would send me. Yeah, then it was Matthew. I asked them if they would send me a copy of it so I could go through and see what it was all about because I haven't looked at it. So okay, so back to Nicole. I will also take toys and treats. And that's basically it. But it depends on where I'm going. Like I want to make sure I have harness, leash, food, toys, things like that. So really not a lot. I don't like to pack a lot anyway, but yeah, those are the basics. Make sure you have water or are going to a place where you can fill water or take water with you. So in the bag that I take for the dogs, I have one of those water things where it looks just like a long water bottle, and then the tray comes down, and then they can drink right from there. But then I also take a regular water bowl. So, um, okay, good. So Jenny got her treats. Um, so Jenny, I guess there's a thing called Recall Mastery. And hopefully Matthew will hop on tonight and can tell us about it. There's different levels of training, getting a really good recall. And I think Matthew was stuck on a certain level and couldn't get past it. So I did get a copy of it. I just still need to look at it and see what it's all about. But I'm pretty sure it's just on the Pupford page under Recall Mastery. So, okay, Beverly. Beverly, if you want to tell me where you're from, I'll enter you into the drawing. I'm going to write your name down right now. Okay, I'm walking my corgi. She's very distracted at everything now. She's digging. She goes after any bug. She loves to take walks but pulls. Okay. So here's the first thing I would do. I like to let dogs have what we call sniff walks or decompression walks. So that means when we're on a walk, they get to sniff grass, bushes, fire hydrants, because that is very enriching and rewarding for dogs. And it tires them out because they're using their brain. They're using their nose, so they're using their brain. And it's very decompressing for dogs. I don't know if that's the right word, but so I would make sure that your corgi is getting some of that. So is getting the opportunity to sniff, like even if you do a long line, so that your dog can have a little bit more freedom, things like that. And then if she's digging, sometimes digging can be boredom. And then when you say digging, do you mean in your yard, or are you talking about like on walks? Like on walks, she will actually start digging. I'll answer it both ways. If she's digging in your yard, I let my dogs have one specific spot where they're allowed to dig. Dogs will dig for different reasons. Some of it, it's in their genetic makeup. So like I have pit bull terriers, and they love to dig up rodents. And honestly, I don't mind if they try to dig them up and chase them away, because I used to have little tunnels all over my yard. So they keep the rodents away. So I do let them dig in one spot. The other reason is, the reason that my dogs are digging right now is they'll dig and then they'll roll around in the dirt because it's cool. It is so hot out right now that they will lay in the dirt where they've just dug, or roll around in it to cool them off. So if I find them digging in a different spot, I'll interrupt and say, hey, we don't dig there. And then I'll focus them over to where they are allowed to dig and get them digging over there. So you could do like a sandbox and just let them dig only there. You could also get like a kiddie pool, and fill it with dirt or plastic balls, and then toss in some food or some toys and let your dog dig through them. Because that's very enriching as well. So just, you want to make sure that the dog's needs are being met. So if your dog is digging because of some genetics or because the dog has a specific need, then you want to be able to fulfill that need, which could mean having a dig spot. Okay, I'm living with my mom in Michigan. She trains well without any distractions, digging as we walk. Yeah, so I would do the sandbox, which it says you're going to get a sandbox for her. Now, if she's digging on walks, you can redirect her and say, hey, we don't dig on other people's yard. And then you can toss like a handful of treats into the grass and say, go hunt. So instead of digging, we're going to engage her nose and have her start sniffing for treats and engaging in a little bit of nose work. And that will be great for her, and kind of distracting us to a different behavior. Sorry, I can hear these dogs are. Hey, Nev, quiet. And then when you start to train with distractions, I was just going back to read your question again, make sure I understood it. When you're training with distractions, sometimes you have to use higher value treats. So, like, think about being at home as preschool. On a walk with lots of bugs and other stuff is high school. So we can't expect a dog to behave like they're in high school if they're still in preschool. So every time I take a dog to a new distracting area, I will up the value of my treats. So I'll use salmon treats, or I might cut up some hot dogs, or grab some cheese sticks and start to practice like with higher value treats that are going to get the dog's attention over whatever is distracting. And then I would teach a really good leave it. And again, the way that I teach leave it means the dog never gets what you're asking them to leave, but they get something better. So make sure you're using high value for leave it. So in the dog's mind, if she's going after a bug and you say leave it, then we want your dog to be like, oh man, I really want this bug, but if I leave it, I'm going to get bacon, or I'm going to get chicken or something better. Does that make sense? So I think a lot of it, practicing with distractions, is use higher value treats. For pulling, what I do is I don't ever let the dog get reinforced for pulling. So in fact, I did this probably 2 or 3 times this week with clients' dogs. When they started to pull, we either stopped, and tight leash means we stop and we wait for a loose leash and then we go, or we change direction. So if the dog starts pulling, so if the dog has a leash on and the dog starts pulling, then I turn and go this way. And then as the dog's catching up, I click and treat when the dog's right by my side. And then if the dog bolts out in front and starts pulling again, I turn and then wait for the dog to catch up and then click and treat when the dog's right by my side. So you can do either one of those. Another one that I use is I'll drop treats like right in front of the dog. So at first I'll drop like every step or every 2 steps, and then every 5 steps, and then every 8 steps. And so I'll start with a high rate, like just getting the dog's nose to the ground and slowing down, and then I'll start to increase the distance that the dog gets the treats. And then I always reward when the dog checks in. So anytime the dog checks in with me, I mark and treat because I want that to be a default behavior. Okay, so Beverly, hopefully that answered your question. Brian, my Patterjack boy gets aggressive whenever I move him from a comfortable position or anyone touches his nails. Any advice? Yes. Last week, did we talk about hand targeting? So there was a Chihuahua at the rescue where I worked that would get really aggressive with anybody that tried to take him out of his bed. So I taught hand targeting, which basically means you teach the dog to go boop with their nose, like just target your nose. And as soon as I feel the nose on my hand, I mark and treat, click and treat. One of the reasons I do that is because if I put my hand out and say touch and the dog comes to touch my hand, then the dog is moving from that comfortable position because he knows that, oh, I touched their hand and I get a reward. So I always want the dog to come to my hand instead of me going to the dog. So with the Chihuahua, that's what I taught him, was how to hand target. I would have him hand target to get off his bed. He would come and target my hand, get a treat, and then I would just put like a slip lead over him, take him out of his kennel so the staff could clean it, and then they went back in. With nails, let's see, where's my nail clippers? They are probably in my car. Okay, we're going to pretend these are the nail clippers, okay? So what I do is I'll put both hands behind my back, and you can get your dog in whatever comfortable position they want, and then you're going to show the clippers and then treat and pause, and then both hands disappear behind your back. Then the clippers come out first. Oops, sorry. The clippers come out first. That predicts the yummy treat, and then they both go behind your back. I would do that over and over until your dog starts wagging his tail when he sees the clippers, because he knows that a treat's coming. Then I would graduate up to, so this is the dog, do it sideways. So then I would bring the clippers and just touch a foot, treat. And then they both go behind my back. So I'll bring the clippers out, touch, treat, go behind my back. And then work up to actually being able to touch nails. So with some dogs, what I've had to do is literally like take my hand and reach for the paw, treat. So I don't actually touch it yet. So I'll just kind of like go towards the paw, treat, and move away. If your dog's afraid of nail trims and doesn't like his nails touched, it's really important that you allow him to back away and say, oh, I'm not comfortable with that. So we don't ever want to force them to do a nail trim, but having them learn that really good things happen when the nail clippers come out or when we do a nail trim, that's what's going to change the emotional response. And so if I go to reach and the dog backs away, I'll just stop and wait. So he doesn't really get a treat because he backed away, but I'm also not going to force him, and I'm going to wait for him to say, okay, I got to back away. I'm okay now. Maybe come a little bit closer, and then I'll go to reach again. And then I want to work up to where I can just touch their paw, treat, move away. Like touch, paw, treat, move away. And then touch each nail. Again, allowing the dog to move away if he wants. And then work up to, so I do paw handling separate from the clipper training, which is just showing them the clippers, touching their paw with it. Then when I get to the part of actually clipping their nails, I will put out a lick mat. So I'll get a lick mat, put it on the side of the bathtub or on the floor, and let the dog just start licking. So one of my dogs actually does not like nail trims, but if I put a lick mat out, he is so focused on that lick mat and the peanut butter that he lets me cut his nails, like easy peasy. My other two dogs are really good about nail trims. They don't mind. But I have had dogs in the past that took like 4 people to do a nail trim. So you want to go really slow. Hey, I'm going to put, so on YouTube, there's a channel called Domesticated Manners. And the trainer is Shirok Patel. And he has a lot of that low stress handling stuff where he will show you how to condition your dog for like eye drops, nail trims, like stuff like that. He has a thing called the bucket game, which is really good. And it basically teaches the dog a start and stop cue. So like when the dog is looking at, I'm seeing if I have a cup here. Well, this is a candle, but let's pretend. Let's say that this is a cup filled with treats. Anytime the dog looks at the cup, and I'm going to treat from that. So the dog's looking at the cup, that means go, and I might reach over and start to touch the dog's paw. If the dog looks away from the cup and at my hand, I stop. And then the dog will look at the cup again because this is where all the treats have come from. Then that means go, and so I'll reach towards the paw. And as long as the dog's looking at the cup, I'll keep going and like touch the paw. The second the dog looks away from the cup, I stop what I'm doing because that's their stop cue. Or they learn that it's their stop cue, and they learn that if they're not comfortable and they look away from the cup, that we're going to stop. So it gives dogs choice and control over their environment. So, and Brian, this is something you can use too with your patter jack, is choice and control. Getting them used to being handled, giving them their agency and the right to say, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to move, things like that. So check out that channel, and maybe I'll ask Pupford if we can do a video on that at some point. Oh, by the way, I got permission to do this new thing. I have to figure out how to do it on this platform, but people can now submit videos. And I'll take like 1 or 2 videos a week, show them to the group, and we can analyze them. We can talk about body language, and it'll be more of kind of a learning for everybody. So right now, like I've told people, send me a video. Let me see what your dog is doing. It's because I'm a visual hands-on learner, it's easier for me to see it than like have it described through typing. So if you have, so like I'll just say with Brian, we'll just use this as an example. So your patter jack getting aggressive, like when you try to move, like if you can videotape that, send it to me, then we can talk about like, okay, what triggers are you seeing? What body language are you seeing? And then we can talk through like what to do about it. But then it'll be more learning for everybody. And if a ton of people submit videos, I can probably only do like 2 a week, but I'll save the other ones for another time, and we'll use it as a learning tool. So yes, we can definitely do that. Let's see. So did Brian, did I answer your question? I would do the hand targeting, and then do the low stress handling for the nails. Cindy, I know you've been here before, but I can't remember where you're from. If you can let me know where you're from, I will. Oh, I saw the other Brian and Renee here, so let me write you guys down. Okay, Cindy, my dog gets really aggressive when people come over. She tries to bite. The first thing I would do is teach a good, like go to your crate. So for now, I would just, anytime somebody comes over, and if you know she's going to react and try to bite, I would just put her in a crate or put her in another room behind a door, but give her something to do back there. So, like a stuffed frozen Kong, a lick mat, turbo tendon. So she doesn't even get to be out when company comes or when people come over. She's in the back enjoying her super yummy treat, and she doesn't have to be out with the people. If she's trying to bite people, then that tells me there's like some anxiety and stress when people come over. So let's just remove her from that stressful situation. I would also kind of train the people and say, because I don't know what your dog's triggers are, but let's say people are trying to pet her or reaching over her head or things like that. So you can give people specific instructions like, okay, I'm going to let the dog out. You can give all your company treats and just ask them to toss treats to your dog. Don't try and pet. Don't look them directly in the eye. Maybe turn sideways so less threatening. And so that your dog starts to learn that strangers equal treats. When strangers come over, they toss me treats. And I would just do that far. I would keep your dog on a leash. So when you first hear the knock on the door, it's like, oh, it's party. Come on, let's go in our room. And make it really fun. Run your dog to the room. Give the bully stick or the Kong or whatever. Leave your dog in there. If somebody's just coming, if it's UPS and they need you to sign for something, then your dog doesn't need to come out until the UPS is gone. If it's company, ask them to come in and sit down, give them some treats, bring your dog out on a leash, and just allow people to toss treats. If your dog is barking or can't take treats, then she might be too close, and so then you want to back her up. So if this hand is like all the company seated, and if your dog's barking right here and can't take treats, then I would back up and see if your dog can take treats from here and start there with them just tossing treats. And then I give specific instructions. I used to have a dog like that just did not like to be touched or pet. So when people would come over, I would say, just ignore him. Don't try to pet him. And so they didn't. They just basically ignored him, and it really worked out well. Then in the meantime, you can do some like counter conditioning, and good things happen when people come over. And then teaching the dog what you want her to do instead. Like, instead of trying to bite, I want you to go to your mat and chill. And you can shape that. Like, you can teach a dog to actually go to their mat and chillax. So just lay down, be calm, and kind of do that. So it's a process where you go through different things. First, you remove them from the stressful situation, which is when people first come over and come through the door. Then you have people toss treats to her. If possible, I like to throw treats behind the dog so the dog learns to move away, come back, move away, come back. And then maybe do some mat work and teaching your dog to like chill on a mat. So that's the way that I would do it. And I work with cases like that all the time, and it actually works out really well. Okay, Beverly, I'm living with my mom in Michigan. Oh, yeah, I need to write down. So it's been a long time since high school, and I can't remember all of my abbreviations. What's the abbreviation for Indiana? Because I know Idaho is ID, so is it IN? And then what is it for Michigan? Because I can't remember that one either. I don't need it. I can just write out the whole state, but just for my own, trying to remember these, and I can't spend too long since high school. Okay, Cindy, did I answer your question? Okay. So it is a process, but yeah, you can do a little bit of it at a time. Beverly, we don't have a fenced in area. I'm planning on taking her to obedience training. Yeah, and even if you don't have a fenced in area, you can do the compression walks or the decompression walks on a leash on walk. So as you're walking, you're letting your dog sniff other people's grass, bushes, lampposts where other dogs have peed. So instead of doing like a formal, we're going to go on a walk, but I want you right on my left side. Instead of that, it's like, we're going to go on a walk and you're going to get to sniff all this stuff. And it's going to be super reinforcing and super enriching for the dog. And that's actually better than just letting him loose in a backyard. Because it's on a walk, it's new and it's novel. Different smells because other dogs have been there. Whereas if it's just your backyard, the dog might be like, yeah, I know all these smells. It's the same old thing. So going out and actually walking, letting your dog sniff is going to be a lot more rewarding. Okay, Beverly, she knows leave it and watch me. Perfect. Yeah. And then I would highly reward both of those. So reward a good leave it and reward watch me anytime your dog checks in. Okay. I think this is Nicole. You'll have training class on Wednesday, so out for 4 weeks. Oh no. Maybe some of those weeks I'll do a Thursday because I can actually switch up the days. If I don't have evening clients, I could do a Thursday night too and switch it up. So we don't always have to stay on Wednesdays. What kind of training class are you doing? Okay, I got Brian. Brian, where's Renee? This is the first time I've seen you come without Renee. Sent in DNA test today. What do you think? Are they accurate? As far as I know, they're pretty accurate. I think the wisdom. Hey, Kirsten. I think I've heard that the wisdom panel is more accurate. Like doing the blood test is more accurate than doing the swab. But I don't know like how much more accurate. But that'll be cool to see. I'm excited to see. You'll have to email me and let me know because I won't be able to wait till next week. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Cindy, Kansas. And that's KS, right? Okay, Jenny, I tell people to ask before petting my dog. Perfect. That's what I would do as well. And you can put your dog in a sit and a wait, and then the person can say, hey, can I pet your dog? And then as long as your dog is calm and sitting, you can say, yep, and then they can pet. Oh, so Indiana is IN and Michigan is MI. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bianca. Okay, so Brian, oh, am I not? That's weird. I think this is Renee. Is that you, Renee, that says I'm here? This is the first time it's come up as Facebook user and not your name. Because Brian, it shows his name. So that's weird. It didn't show your name this time. Okay, Bianca, my dog is reactive when he sees other dogs on a walk or when in the backyard. Yeah. So I like to do, the first thing I'll do is environmental management, which is keeping the dog under threshold. So if you're on a walk and your dog suddenly sees another dog and starts barking, growling, lunging, and let's say you can't get your dog's attention, you can't redirect with treats, then I'll just do like a let's go in a high, happy voice, turn and go the other way. You can also do like step off the side of the trail or the sidewalk, bring your dog in to sit and look at you, and fast feed treats. Like, oh, yep, there's a dog. If you focus on me, I'll keep this chicken coming, and wait for the dog to disappear. Then you can do what we call engage disengage, which just means that you start from a distance. So let's say you see a dog off in the background. You can stop right there and say, hey, look at that dog up there. And as soon as your dog notices, click treat. I do use a clicker for this because I want the click to help the dog disengage. So it's like the dog looks, click, treat. And then eventually the dog will be like, oh, there's a dog. Where's my treat? And then, so the clicker helps them learn to disengage. Then you can reward your dog. If they look at another dog and then disengage and look at you, you can reward that too. In the backyard, I do it a little bit different. So if the dog's barking at another dog walking by, I'll use what's called a positive interrupter and just say, okay, guys, that's enough. And it's basically saying, okay, you've done your job. You've alerted me. Now I need you to be quiet. So I'll say that's enough and then I'll redirect. And sometimes the redirect might be come in the house until the dog walks by. Or you can say that's enough and take a handful of treats and chuck them out in the grass and redirect your dog to doing nose work in the grass rather than barking at the other dog. Does that make sense? So that's what I would do. Just think about interrupting, redirecting. Cindy, yes. I would put a basket muzzle on her especially if she's, well, for any breed can break skin. And if you're going to be working around people for liability and just to keep people safe, I would definitely do a basket muzzle. That same Shirok Patel, Domesticated Manners, he has a really good video on how to get a dog used to a muzzle. So I would look that up on YouTube and go through that training to get her used to the muzzle. And then, yes, I would have a muzzle on. I like the basket muzzle just because they can still eat, drink, pant, take treats. You could actually use like a can of spray cheese. I wouldn't have people do that because that's putting their hand really close to the muzzle. And you could work up to that where then company is giving the spray cheese through the muzzle. But that actually might stress your dog out, having their hand that close. You could put it on like a target stick. So let me show you. The treat bag is coming out. So of course my dogs are. So when I'm working with dogs that bite, oftentimes I will put peanut butter on the end of this target stick and then look how far away my hand is. So I'll offer this to the dog through the muzzle and let the dog lick the peanut butter. And then I can slowly make this smaller and smaller as the dog gets more comfortable. These, Amazon, and it has a clicker. I wouldn't use the clicker for that part because we're just creating that association that stranger equals treats. But you could use a wooden spoon too. Use a long wooden spoon just so it's like an extension of the person's hand or arm, but it's not putting their hand like right up close to the dog's muzzle. Okay, good. You bought the wisdom panel. That's perfect. Yeah, I heard that. I've heard that one's really good, and that's the one that I've always used as well. Hey, Nev, you're fine. I have 2 puppy board and trains here that are going crazy. Okay, Renee, I did write you down. Oh, we have 2 Renees. We have Renee Mills. Okay. How do I keep my puppy off my recliner? Great question. So I would teach an off, and then it's really important that you never let the puppy on the recliner. So if you don't want the dog on the recliner, then they don't ever get on, whether it's to cuddle with you, watch TV with you, nothing. And then, so if the dog does jump on the recliner, I would teach like an off, which just means putting a treat in front of their nose. So like, let's say the dog is jumping, I'll put a treat right in front of the nose and say off and lure the dog off. As soon as the dog leaves the recliner to get the treat, I mark treat, and then you can teach the dog what you want them to do instead. So you're not allowed on the recliner. Here, Maddie, you want one too? So you're not allowed on the recliner, but you are allowed on this bed right at the base of the recliner. So this is where the good stuff's going to happen. This is on this bed by the recliner. This is where you're going to get treats. And this is where you get attention, is right here rather than on the recliner. Oh, Renee, now your name's coming up. Bianca, I've been doing that with the treats and the high pitch, and sometimes he walks away from it. That's perfect. So I would just keep doing that. It's just like repetition, teaching the dog some, something else. So like if you're uncomfortable, you're going to walk away, or you're going to check in with me, like stuff like that. So it sounds like you're on the right track. Bianca, I've been doing the treats and the high pitch voice for a few weeks now, and sometimes he turns away. Yeah, if he doesn't turn away, he might be too close, because that might mean that he's too close to the trigger. So then you would need to decrease distance. So doing like let's go, and backing up, moving off to the side of the path or something like that, just to keep him under threshold. And then, yes, in the backyard, try, you can use a different cue like treats and throw the handful of treats in the grass away from the fence. So then the dog learns, oh, I just heard treats. I get to go hunt for treats in the grass, and let the dog do something different. Okay, let me go back and see if I missed anybody. Let me know if I did not answer your question. Oh, Jenny, what kind of treats did you end up getting? Oh, I missed one. I have a 3-month mini golden doodle, and he has a humping issue. I've tried redirecting, training, etc., but nothing is working. Yeah, so what I do is I'll interrupt. So dogs hump for different reasons. It can be overexcitement. I actually see it in puppy class a lot where dogs get overly excited. So if a dog humps, I'll just say, oh, hey, we don't do that. And I'll just like lightly grab their collar, pull them off. And then I might give them like a 1-minute chill. So you're going to chill out for 1 minute, then you can go play again. If the dog goes back to humping again, then I might do like a 1-minute timeout in a crate, but I'll put a toy in the crate just so it's not a punishment. Sometimes you can give the dog like one toy that they are allowed to hump. So for the dog, it's like, oh, nope, you can't hump a live dog, or you can't hump my leg, but here's your hump pillow. And this you can hump to your little heart's content. Or here's like a stuffed animal. I have a small one, but here's a small toy that you can hump. So they still get to do it, but only with a specific pillow or a specific toy. Anything else, you're going to interrupt, redirect. So it's basically the same thing that you would do with barking, biting, digging. Think about interrupting, not in a bad way, because they're just being dogs. So we don't want to punish them because they're just doing what dogs do. And then redirecting. So any other behavior other than humping. But we still need to give them an outlet for what they want to do. So if they're digging, we need to give them an outlet for digging. Humping, we need to give them something that they can hump. Stuff like that. Sorry, I missed your question. That's why I always go back through. Let's see. Bianca, if you want to let me know where you're from, I'll enter you into the drawing. Nev, quiet. You're good. We're almost done. So I have 2 puppy board and trains here, and the smallest puppy figured out how to get out of my yard and squoze through the gate. So I couldn't lock them outside. Now they can't be outside unattended, so they're in a crate. And you can hear one's not happy. Okay. Oh, you got salmon. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, those are my favorite. That's what I use the most of. But I also like rabbit and beef liver. But I do use the salmon for my really high value treats. So I use those a lot. Okay. Well, let's do a drawing with those that are here. And then we'll be done early tonight. There's actually no set time that we go. I just answer till we're done. Oh, I know. You know what? I did get to try the blueberry treats. We were filming this new program for Pupford, and they had samples of the blueberry treats. And I had Jade with me at the time, and then one of my puppy board and trains, and they liked it. I think there was a banana. Isn't there a banana treat too? Because my dogs, I want to say, ate the banana one and liked it. But then again, my dogs will eat anything. Okay. Tonight's winner, I'm going to draw this. Beverly from Michigan. Congratulations. So, Beverly, what you're going to want to do is email hello@pupford.com and let them know which kind of treats you want, and they will send them to you. I email them as well and let them know that you're the winner. So, congrats. And now you can try some new treats if you haven't tried any, or this is what they look like. This is the beef liver. And they also have lick mats. This is like the greatest invention ever. So Brian, you could put this on the side of a bathtub or a wall, or just put it on the ground. Put baby food, peanut butter, anything, and let your patter jack like lick while you're touching paws and teaching nail trims. Okay. I agree. You know what? That's all I use in my training program. That is all I use are the Pupford training treats. And people always say, "Oh, what treat are you using?" Because my dogs seem to love your treats. And it's always I do use the chicken sometimes, but a lot of dogs, if they have an allergy, it's going to be the chicken. So just to be safe, I use the salmon, beef liver, and rabbit. But yeah, they're the best, and I love them that they're not messy. They don't get my hands messy, but they're only 1 calorie, so it's so perfect. I would use the Pupford training treats even if I didn't do work for Pupford. So I love their product. I order for my dogs like the turbo tendons, the yak chews, because I know that they use good products and it's not going to have like nasty fillers and stuff in it. So that's the only stuff that my dogs get as well as anything from Pupford. Yeah, salmon is one of Peyton's favorite. My dogs too, they love the salmon. In fact, anytime like I get the treat bag out, they're like right here. Okay, well, thanks for joining. Hope I got all of your questions answered. I'm going to go let puppies out because they are whining like crazy. So they actually may need to go potty. So I'm going to go let them out to go potty and do our last training session for the night. And thanks for joining. So everybody have a great week and a great weekend. And probably around Monday, Tuesday, I'll post when next week's live Q&A is going to be, and I will see you then.